Imagine you're playing the greatest chess player to ever live. You've played a near-perfect game. You've neutralized his aggression. And then, out of nowhere, he hangs his entire rook. Not by mistake, but as a calculated invitation to a dance of death. In 1999, Garry Kasparov unleashed a move so insane that the spectators thought he'd lost his mind. But 5 moves later, his opponent realized he wasn't playing a game. He was trapped in a masterpiece. Today, we're breaking down the Pearl of Weak Anzi. This isn't just chess. It's a psychological war where a single rook sacrifice sets the entire board on fire. If you want to know how a Grandmaster thinks 10 steps ahead of a computer, buckle up. This is going to be legendary. Kasparov opens with e4, and Topalov responds with the Pirc Defense. Now, the Pirc is like a coiled viper. Black isn't trying to control the center immediately. He's saying, "Go ahead, white. Take all the space you want. I'm going to bite you from the shadows." Kasparov, being the beast from Baku, doesn't play it safe. He chooses the most aggressive setup possible. He's claiming space, pushing his pawns, and daring Topalov to find a counterattack. His intent? Total domination. He wants to strangle black before the pieces even reach the middle of the board. Topalov's counterplan is classic. Strike at the center with c6 and b5. By move 15, the board looks like a powder keg. Both players have castled on opposite sides, and in chess, that's a universal signal for someone is getting checkmated, and it's going to happen fast. We've reached the turning point. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. Topalov has just played d5, thinking he's blocked white's attack. From a human perspective, it looks solid. Even the engine, Stockfish, at a quick glance, thinks the position is roughly equal. But Garry Kasparov isn't a computer. He's a hunter. Boom! Rxd4. This is the move that shook the world. Kasparov sacrifices his rook for a mere pawn. At first glance, this looks like a total hallucination. Why would you give up a whole rook? Here's the engine versus human perspective. A modern engine sees the material loss and panics. But Kasparov saw something deeper. He realized that by removing that pawn, the black king is stripped of its armor. The knight on d4 was the only thing keeping the black king safe. By sacrificing the rook, Kasparov is essentially kicking down the front door of Topalov's house while the alarm is still off. The rook is the Trojan horse. Topalov has to take it. If he doesn't, he's just down a pawn with a losing position. But by taking it, he enters Kasparov's world, a world of infinite checks and terrifying geometry. This is the most complex sequence in chess history. Let's look at the what-ifs. Topalov's king is forced into a walk of shame. Kasparov plays re7+. Notice how he isn't even stopping to breathe. If Topalov tries to hide his king back on b8, Kasparov has a devastating sequence involving the queen and bishop that leads to an inescapable mate. But Topalov is a fighter. He accepts the challenge and runs his king into the center of the board. Look at this. The black king is now on b4. This is insane. It's move 30, and the black king is more active than his own pieces. Now, let's look at the value sequence. If Kasparov slips up for even 1 second if he plays 30, b-flat 3 instead of the precise 30, qb6 plus the evaluation flips, Topalov would simply consolidate his extra rook and crush white. Kasparov had to calculate a 15-move sequence in his head where he doesn't just attack, but he prevents the king from ever finding a safe square. He's using his queen and bishop like a pair of tweezers, picking apart Topalov's defenses one square at a time. This is where you see the difference between a grandmaster and a legend. It's not about seeing the moves, it's about feeling the king's lack of oxygen. Topalov finally resigned after 44 moves. Even though black was up material for most of the game, his king was never safe. Kasparov finished the game by hunting the king all the way to the other side of the board and winning the black queen. What can we learn from this to boost your elo? 2 things. First, king safety is more important than material. You can be up 2 rooks, but if your king is in the middle of the board, your evaluation is 0. Second, don't trust the first thing you see. Topalov thought d5 was a solid defensive move. Kasparov saw it as an opportunity to sacrifice. In your own games, when your opponent castles on the opposite side, stop looking for slow moves. Start looking for explosive moves. Ask yourself, what happens if I just kick the door down? This game is the ultimate proof that chess is an art form, not just a calculation. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the mind of the beast from Baku, hit that subscribe button. We're doing a deep dive into another brilliant game next week that involves a triple queen sacrifice. You don't want to miss it. Checkmate the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.